Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to force life into order, the more it seems to slip through your fingers? You plan, you push, you tighten your grip, yet somehow everything unravels. Maybe it's at work when the pressure builds, or at home when peace feels just out of reach. It's in those moments we tell ourselves that control is the answer. But the Stoics knew a different truth. Control is an illusion, and calm is the real power. Let me share with you the story of James Stockdale, a man who faced 7 years of captivity, torture, and isolation, and survived not because he controlled his fate, but because he mastered his mind. His calm was not weakness, but quiet defiance. In this video, we'll explore what it truly means to keep that kind of stillness in the middle of life's storms and how it can become your greatest advantage. So, take a breath and stay with me. You may see yourself differently by the end. Number 1. Calm is your greatest weapon. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of crisis, your own mind can become your worst enemy? You feel the surge of panic, the rush of adrenaline, and suddenly every choice you make is tinted with fear. Picture yourself as a Formula One driver, hands gripping the wheel, the roar of the engine in your ears, the track a shimmering ribbon of heat. You are seconds from victory when a sharp turn sends the car into a slide. In that split second, there are only 2 paths. One is panic. Jerk the wheel, act without thought, and spin helplessly into the gravel. The other is calm. Ease off the accelerator, adjust with precision, and guide the car back under control. The best drivers are not the ones who drive the fastest, but the ones who stay composed when everything threatens to spin out of control. Life works in the same way. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are disturbed by something external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. It's not the storm outside that determines the outcome, it's the stillness inside." Today, neuroscience echoes this wisdom. When fear or anger take over, the amygdala hijacks our decisions. But when we remain calm, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, takes control. A study from the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience in London showed that those who train their calmness under pressure not only suffer less stress, but achieve better long-term results. They act on strategy, not on impulse. So how do you train this? First, practice the observer technique. In a tense moment, imagine you are watching yourself in a film. What advice would you give the main character? This small shift creates distance from raw emotion and lets clarity in. Second, build the habit daily, not just in crises. If you drop a carton of eggs, resist the urge to curse gravity. If a small inconvenience can steal your composure, what will happen when life delivers a real blow? Calm is not something that magically appears when the stakes are high. It is a muscle, strengthened in quiet, ordinary moments. So, ask yourself, do you want to live like the rookie driver, losing control at the first unexpected turn, or like the master who reads the curve and bends with it? The world will always test your balance. Whether you fall off track or ride the turn to victory depends on the calm you carry within. And that calm is where your true power begins, leading us into the next lesson. Number 2, you can't control everything. Have you ever had one of those days where the morning starts with promise, and by noon it feels like the universe has conspired against you? You wake early, determined to make progress, finish that project, exercise, prepare a special dinner. Everything is planned down to the last detail. But then your boss drops an urgent task on your desk. A friend cancels plans you've been looking forward to. You reach out for comfort, only to be met with words that sting. frustration creeps in. This wasn't the day you designed. And here lies the quiet truth. We don't just want to control our own actions, we want to control others too. We expect them to respond as we imagine, to act in ways that fit neatly into our plans. Think of how often you've tried to fix someone, convincing a friend to avoid mistakes they keep making, urging a partner to see things your way, wishing your parents would worry less. Each time they resist, your irritation grows. Naval Ravikant once said, "Suffering comes from the desire to control the uncontrollable." The Stoic Epictetus said it even earlier. Some things are up to us, and some are not. Only those who cling to what they cannot control will suffer. The more we grip at what lies beyond our reach, the more tension and discontent we create. Science agrees. A Stanford study split participants into two groups, one with tasks they could fully control, another with outcomes dependent on external factors. Those who embraced uncertainty experienced less anxiety, greater adaptability, and steadier emotions. Those who fought to control the uncontrollable ended up drained. The lesson is clear. Peace belongs to those who can sail with the wind rather than curse it for blowing the wrong way. So try this. The next time life veers off course, ask yourself, so what? Will this matter in 5 years? And once a week, embrace what I call controlled chaos. Drop the rigid schedule. Let events unfold without forcing them into shape. You might be surprised by how your mind adapts, how letting go can feel like freedom. Life is not a straight, predictable road. It's the open sea. Waves, storms, and changing currents are inevitable. You cannot control them, but you can adjust your sails. In the end, real mastery is not about bending the world to your will, it's about mastering your response. And with that, we move to the next lesson on how this mastery shapes every step you take forward. Number 3, be grateful before complaining. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to start the day by counting what's missing instead of what's already here? You open your eyes on a Monday morning, and before your feet even touch the ground, your mind whispers, "I need a vacation. I wish I had more time, more money, a different life." You carry that soundtrack into the shower, into breakfast, into your first conversation of the day. And without realizing it, you've planted seeds of discontent in your mind before the sun is even high. The Stoics understood this trap well. Seneca wrote, "It is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratitude that makes us happy." What you feed your mind will grow, whether it's weeds or flowers, is up to you. Scientists at the University of Berkeley put this to the test. They asked one group to write down 3 things they were grateful for every night, no matter how small, while another group wrote about anything they liked. Weeks later, brain scans showed something striking. The gratitude group had increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain tied to calmness, decision-making, and emotional stability. Their minds had been trained to spot the good, even under stress. The other group's brains? Unchanged. Their mental garden was still dry. I learned this myself when I decided, almost out of boredom, to try the same practice. Each morning, before looking at my phone, I wrote down 3 small things: hot coffee, a call from an old friend, the quiet before the city woke. Slowly, my focus shifted. The constant background noise of wanting and complaining grew quieter. I began to see what had always been there. So, here's the challenge. Before you complain, give thanks. Say it out loud when you wake, with intention. Thank you. Not as a ritual to rush through, but as an anchor to your day. At night, write down 3 different things you appreciated. Search for details, a moment of laughter, a meal that warmed you, even a problem that taught you something. And most importantly, train your mind to dwell on what is, not what's missing. Because peace isn't hidden in the next achievement or the next possession. It's found in the lens through which you see your life. Complaining changes nothing. Gratitude changes everything. And with that shift in perspective, you'll be ready for the next step toward unshakable calm. Number 4. Shape life with better thoughts. Have you ever noticed how the mind can become its own prison? A friend of mine learned this in the harshest way possible. A few months ago, he was given life-altering news, a serious illness that shattered the illusion of certainty. Suddenly, life became a blur of hospital corridors, cold waiting rooms, and a constant hum of fear. But the worst battles weren't in his body, they were in his head. Each morning, his first thoughts were the same. What if things get worse? What if I never recover? Why me? With thoughts like that, the days stretched endlessly and hope felt far away. One morning, while waiting for yet another test, he overheard a talk by Tony Robbins. The message was simple but piercing. The quality of your thoughts defines the quality of your life. It stirred something in him, and later he realized Marcus Aurelius had said almost the same thing 2,000 years earlier. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That day, he made a decision. He couldn't control his illness, but he could choose how to meet it. Before even leaving his bed, he began forcing his mind toward one positive focus, no matter how small. Today, I will laugh at least once. Today, I will savor time with my family. Today, I will be grateful for what I have. The strange thing was, nothing in his circumstances changed, but his experience of them did. Marcus Aurelius, a man burdened with the weight of an empire, knew that the fiercest war is fought within. He didn't waste energy dwelling on what could collapse. He prepared himself to meet whatever would. This mindset is not wishful thinking, it's deliberate training. You can start by reframing your inner language. When your mind says, "This is a disaster," answer, "This is a challenge, and I can learn from it." When it says, "I can't handle this," answer, "It may be hard, but I will find a way." Seek out people whose words build rather than break, whose vision expands instead of limits, because the mind absorbs the climate it lives in. And before each day begins, picture yourself navigating it with composure, not imagining miracles, but seeing yourself respond with strength. In the end, your mind is the lens through which life comes into focus. Train it to see clearly, and you'll find opportunities where others see obstacles. Shape your thoughts with care, and you'll shape the life they create. And with that, let's move to the next principle of staying unshakable no matter what comes. Number 5, your attention shapes reality. When you walk down the street, where does your gaze rest? Do you feel the rush of the crowd, the impatient honking of cars, the tension in the air? Or do you catch the way sunlight warms the face of a building, hear the whisper of wind through the trees? Notice the fleeting curve of a stranger's smile. Reality is the same for everyone, yet no two people live it the same way, because what you notice shapes the world you inhabit. It's like that well-known image of 2 passengers on the same bus. One stares at a grey, lifeless rock wall inches from his face, sinking into gloom. The other looks out the opposite window and sees a vast, breathtaking landscape bathed in light. The road is identical, only the focus is different. Life works the same way. If you choose to fix your gaze only on what's broken, on what's missing, your days will always feel heavy. But turn your head, truly turn it, and you may realize the beauty was there all along. Will Smith once said, "If you want success, if you want happiness, you must learn to ignore distractions and focus only on what truly matters." It's not about luck, it's about training your mind to direct its energy where it counts. Your attention is like a lens. If that lens is clouded with complaints, fear, and resentment, the world will appear distorted and dim. But when you adjust the focus, choosing to see what you can influence, what brings growth, you transform your entire reality. So, ask yourself honestly, where have you been placing your attention lately? Think of a recent moment that stirred frustration or anxiety. Maybe it was an unkind comment, an unexpected setback at work, something you scrolled past on social media that left a bitter taste. Now imagine that, in that moment, instead of feeding the negative, you shifted your attention towards something within your control, a small success, a peaceful breath, a kind word exchanged earlier that day. Would your mind have stayed in the same dark place? If you want to reclaim your calm and sharpen your focus, begin with a mental diet. Just as you care about what you eat, you must care about what you consume mentally. Limit your exposure to negative news. Curate your social media to follow people and ideas that inspire instead of drain you. Remember, your mind is a garden. What you water is what will grow. Next, practice an attention reset. When you notice yourself spiraling into negativity, change the scene. Literally, step outside, breathe deeply, look for something different to hold your gaze, and change the question you're asking yourself. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This small shift in inquiry can turn a perceived curse into a source of wisdom. Finally, guard your circle. The people you surround yourself with will shape the way you see the world. If you spend your days with those who complain without end, who see only obstacles and never solutions, their vision will become yours. Seek out those who challenge you to rise, who speak of possibilities more than limitations, who keep their eyes and yours fixed on what matters. Epictetus said, "Where your attention goes, there is your soul." This is more than philosophy, it is a compass for living. Because in the end, what you choose to focus on is what you will experience. Train your attention to rest on what strengthens you, and you will find yourself calmer under pressure, wiser in decisions, and more resilient against the noise of the world. So, as you hear this, take a quiet moment and decide, will you let your mind be pulled toward every shadow, or will you guide it toward the light? Write in the comments a single word for where you choose to focus, and let it be the seed for the reality you want to build. And as we move forward, you'll see how mastering this choice connects seamlessly to the next principle of living with calm and purpose. Number 6, rest or your mind shuts down. How many times have you sat in front of your computer, eyes fixed on the screen, but your mind feels like static on an old television? You read the same sentence 3 times, yet none of it sinks in. You sip one coffee, then another, hoping the fog will lift, but it doesn't. Instead of accepting that you need a break, you push harder, thinking that more effort will mean more progress. But deep down, you know it won't. You just make more mistakes, lose focus, and end the day more drained than when you started. Rest is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Think about your phone. If you drain the battery completely and never recharge it, it shuts down. No amount of shaking or pressing buttons will bring it back to life until you give it what it needs. Your mind is no different. Seneca said it plainly, even the sharpest sword needs rest to keep its edge. What use is a weapon if it's worn down to dullness? What use is a brilliant mind if you grind it into exhaustion? The Stoics valued stillness and recovery not as wasted time, but as the foundation for strength and clarity. Modern neuroscience proves the point. Rest improves memory, focus, learning, and emotional control. I like to think of the brain as a whiteboard. Each day, you write down your tasks, lessons, and thoughts. If you never erase it, the board becomes cluttered, and there's no room for new ideas. Sleep and rest are the erasers, clearing space for sharper thinking. If life feels too chaotic for rest, start small. First, reduce screen time before bed. The blue light from your devices convinces your brain that it's still daytime, delaying the moment your mind can truly shut down. Second, create a simple nighttime routine. Read a few pages, write in a journal, or sit quietly and let your body relax. These signals tell your mind it's time to disconnect. Third, listen to your body. Athletes don't train without recovery days because they know their performance depends on it. You are no different, the athlete of your own life. Rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. If you truly want more success, you don't need endless hours of half-focused work. You need clarity, focus, and calm. So tonight, choose to recharge. If you agree, type recharge in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next principle that will sharpen both your mind and your spirit. Number 7. Mornings shape your destiny. Picture this. Marcus Aurelius and Seneca wake up in our century. Marcus opens his eyes, reaches for his phone, and is immediately swallowed by the noise. Notifications blink, emails from the Senate pile up. Strangers on social media criticize his latest decree, and the news warns of unrest at the empire's borders. He sighs, drags himself to the kitchen, and pours coffee while already imagining the weight of the day ahead. Seneca wakes differently. He opens his eyes, takes a slow breath, and asks himself, "What kind of day do I want to have?" Rising without haste, he stretches, drinks water, and writes a few reflections in his journal. Without touching his phone, he steps outside for a walk, letting the morning air clear his mind. One starts the day ruled by circumstance. The other rules his day before it begins. Which one do you resemble? Too often we wake on autopilot, eyes barely open, thumb scrolling, mind flooded with other people's words, problems and demands before we've even taken our first conscious breath. Without preparing the mind, we hand over our focus to whatever shouts loudest. The Stoics would call this surrendering your command post. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Modern science agrees. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's research shows that a clear, intentional morning routine reduces anxiety and sharpens focus throughout the day. It is not luxury, it is strategy. So imagine this as your turning point. The moment you wake, resist the urge to check your phone for the first 30 minutes. Give your mind space before pouring in the world's noise. Fill that space with a small act that signals victory. Make your bed, stretch, prepare breakfast in quiet, or sit for a minute of stillness. It doesn't matter what you choose, as long as it's done with intention. Then, before the day pulls you in all directions, take a moment to visualize the course you want it to take. See yourself handling challenges with calm, speaking with clarity, ending the day proud of your actions. Because the truth is, your mornings aren't just the start of the day, they are the blueprint of your life. Win the first moments, and you set the tone for everything that follows. And with that, let's move to the next lesson on shaping your inner strength before the world tests it. Number 8. What you visualize, you build. Have you ever decided you wanted something, a car, a watch, even a certain pair of shoes, and then suddenly you began to see it everywhere? On the road, in store windows, in conversations with strangers. It feels almost like the universe is sending you signs, but it isn't magic, it's your mind at work. When you focus deeply on something, your brain activates a filter that makes it easier to spot. The object doesn't suddenly appear more often. You've simply trained your attention to find it. Epictetus captured this truth in a single line: what you feed your mind becomes your reality. If your thoughts are fixed on problems, scarcity and hardship, those will be the patterns you recognize in the world. But if you direct your focus toward opportunity, progress and growth, your mind will start uncovering them everywhere. And here's the remarkable part. Your brain does not clearly distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually live. Roxy Nafusi, an expert in visualization, explains that picturing your day with precision is more than wishful thinking, it's mental training. Try it. Close your eyes and imagine your ideal home. Don't just see it, walk through it in your mind. What color are the walls? How does the morning light pour through the windows? What sounds fill the rooms? What scents linger in the air? And then, imagine not just the end result, but each step that leads there, the early mornings, the decisions, the small daily victories. The clearer the picture, the easier it becomes for your mind to find the real-world paths toward it. To use this deliberately, craft a mental script for your goals. Don't settle for vague statements like, "I want to be successful." See yourself in specific moments, speaking with confidence in a meeting, completing a project you're proud of, ending the day with a quiet sense of achievement. And then, shape your surroundings to reinforce that vision. Just as athletes surround themselves with images of their heroes and words that fuel their drive, you can fill your space with reminders of where you're going, place symbols, notes, or images where your eyes will naturally land, nudging your mind to stay on course. Calm comes when you know the direction of your steps. Success is rarely the result of chance. It is built in the mind first, then constructed in reality. And once you understand that what you visualize is what you begin to build, you'll see that the next step toward your goal starts long before you take it. Number 9. Breathe to regain control. The air is tense, the room quiet except for the shuffle of cards. In poker, the real battle isn't in the hand you hold, it's in the way you carry yourself. Beginners betray themselves in every shallow breath, every restless tap of the fingers, every bead of sweat that betrays their nerves. But the masters remain still. They don't flinch, they don't rush, and they certainly don't let anyone read their state of mind, because they know the unspoken rule: control wins games, and the one who loses control loses everything. Now, trade the poker table for a heated argument in real life. Someone pushes your buttons, provokes you, tries to drag you into their chaos. The moment you react without thinking, snapping back, raising your voice, you've already surrendered the advantage. But if you pause, if you breathe before you speak, if you choose your words instead of spilling them, the power stays with you. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than most. He ruled an empire in turbulent times, yet he wrote of being calm yet determined, cheerful yet steady, one who follows reason in all things. He knew that to govern others, he first had to govern himself. The same is true for us. Your mind is either your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. and its loyalty depends on whether you can master it in moments of pressure. The simplest way to start is with your breath. Whoever controls their breathing controls their mind. Whoever controls their mind controls their life. Try the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. It's a reset button for your nervous system, pulling you out of the grip of emotion and back into clarity. And remember, when someone lashes out, it's often not about you. It may be the weight of a day, a week, or even a lifetime they don't know how to carry. You have the choice to step into their storm or to remain in your own stillness. In the end, the one who shouts has already lost the conversation. The one who breathes, waits, and responds with precision holds the field. So the next time life corners you and your pulse races, remember, don't let the first impulse decide your fate. Breathe first, decide later, and with that control, you move closer to the kind of success that cannot be shaken. Number 10. Seek silence. Find answers. You wake up, and before your feet touch the ground, your phone is already in your hand. Notifications, emails, messages, headlines, each one tugging at your attention. You step outside, and it's more of the same. Traffic blaring, conversations colliding, music spilling from open doors. By the time you return home, the television is on, more messages arrive, and not a single moment in your day has been free from noise. It's exhausting to even think about, and yet most of us keep doing it. Why? Because silence unsettles us. We fill every gap with sound to avoid being left alone with our own thoughts. But silence is not the enemy. It is a threshold to another kind of world, one where the answers don't come from outside, but from within. In Eat, Pray, Love, the protagonist leaves her busy life in search of herself. Her turning point doesn't happen in the middle of chaos. It happens in the stillness of an Indian retreat. At first, that quiet is unbearable. Her mind rebels, anxiety rises, and she wants to escape. But as the noise fades, something changes. She begins to hear herself. Seneca knew this centuries ago. We suffer more from the noise inside our minds than from what surrounds us. We replay old mistakes, dread what has yet to happen, and flood our heads with thoughts that keep us spinning in circles. The one who learns to be calm in silence can carry that calm anywhere. Science now supports what the Stoics intuited. A Duke University study found that silence activates the brain's default mode network, a system that organizes thoughts, connects ideas, and untangles dilemmas. It's like searching for something in a messy room. The more frantically you dig, the less you find. But pause, clear the clutter, and the answer is suddenly in plain sight. If your mind feels like a storm, give it space to clear. Spend 30 minutes a day in complete quiet. No screens, no conversations. Take a silent walk without music or podcasts, letting your thoughts breathe. And when reflections surface, write them down. Over time, you'll notice patterns, insights, and truths that had been buried under noise. Because silence is not emptiness, it is the space where clarity grows. Learn to sit in it, and you'll find that the answers you've been chasing have been waiting there all along. And from this stillness, we step into the final truth that turns calm into lasting strength. Number 11. Use your hands. Calm your mind. Have you ever felt your thoughts spinning so fast they seem to blur together, like a storm you can't see your way out of? The more you try to think your way to clarity, the more tangled the knots become. In those moments, your mind feels heavy, restless, overwhelmed. You sit there, staring, waiting for the fog to lift. Yet it doesn't. And perhaps that's because true calm doesn't arrive by sitting perfectly still, but by moving with purpose. Centuries ago, there was a man who understood this better than most. Leonardo da Vinci could never sit idle, not out of impatience, but because his mind overflowed with questions. Observing the world was not enough. He had to touch it, take it apart, rebuild it. He sketched endlessly, designed machines no one had dreamed of, studied the body with meticulous detail, wrote page after page of ideas. And when his thoughts became chaotic, he didn't try to force them into order with more thinking. He reached for his tools. He drew, he built, he experimented. His hands worked, and slowly his mind found its balance. Leonardo's genius wasn't only in his ideas, but in his method. He created clarity through action, and in this, he mirrored a truth the Stoics had long known. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Well-directed action brings peace to the mind." When the waters are churning, you don't just wait for them to settle. You row, you steer, you give the storm something to work against. Picture yourself at work, emails piling up, phone buzzing without pause, someone standing over your desk asking for something urgent. Your chest tightens, your thoughts scatter, your instinct is to do everything at once, and so you end up doing nothing well. What you wish in that moment is to be the person who can hold steady in the chaos, who chooses their moves with precision while others flail. Those people aren't born with some hidden advantage. They've trained their minds through their hands. This is the paradox. To calm the mind, engage the body. 10 minutes a day is enough. It could be writing by hand, cooking, fixing something, tending a plant, shaping clay. The point is not the outcome, but the act itself, a space where you can focus entirely on one physical task. No multitasking, no half listening to music with lyrics, no phone buzzing beside you, just you, your hands, and the work in front of you. At first, it might feel too simple, almost foolish, but then you'll notice something. Your breathing evens out, your thoughts stop racing, the pressure inside you begins to dissolve. The problem that felt insurmountable an hour ago now seems smaller, more defined, maybe even solvable. You didn't run from the storm, you gave it a place to go. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to wait for life to calm down before you can feel calm. You can make that space with your own two hands, in the middle of the noise, the pressure, the uncertainty. Sometimes a simple, steady task, folding laundry, sanding wood, slicing vegetables, speaks louder than 1,000 frantic thoughts. So when your mind feels like it's slipping beyond your control, remember, stillness is not always found in stillness. Sometimes it is found in movement. Let your hands lead, and your mind will follow. This is how you turn chaos into clarity, how you reclaim your center without waiting for the world to change, because in the end, the storms outside you are far less dangerous than the ones inside, and the more you learn to quiet them, the more unshakable you become. Not by chance, not by luck, but by the quiet, deliberate choice to act, not react. This is where calm becomes strength, and strength becomes your way of moving through the world. Choose calm, rise stronger. Subscribe for more wisdom and share your journey in the comments. Your next breakthrough awaits.